very distinguished chairman of this very important session, Science Initiatives in Ayurveda, Professor Velayathan, distinguished experts here, my dear participants and students. In yesterday's inaugural function of World Ayurveda Congress, the main strand which was articulated was that we must find modern scientific basis for our Ayurveda. As the chairman was just talking, and Professor Lavekar was just talking to me, that Ayurveda is science. There is no doubt on that issue. One who has studied the principles and methodologies of Ayurveda would not have that doubt. Many modern doctors, many modern scientists look down on Ayurveda as non-scientific. I would only request them that just they should visit, those who are present here, visit our exhibition, Arogya 2006, and look at these principles in a panoramic view, and then go on to the studies on Ayurveda. Only the problem is that the language of Ayurveda and the language of modern science, whether it's a physics, chemistry, biology, or the modern forms of these sciences, are different. As scientists, we must also appreciate that, although I'm an engineer, the language which I talk, the natural scientists do not understand the engineering language. The physicists do not understand the language of chemistry. And we also don't understand the language of biology, and vice versa. So it is not uncommon among scientists to understand, not to understand each other's language. This is very important. I'm a systems engineer in a certain sense, and we do not talk. There are various levels of abstraction we talk about. And this is, abstraction understanding is very, very important. As a general system theory, in general systems theory, which Bertalanffy had advanced in the 60s and 70s, we did not look at different systems in different manners, whether it's a engineering system, whether it's a physical system, whether it's a biological system, whether it's a social system, or whether we talk of the universe. Everything was looked at systems. And a new theory came about called state-space theory. Now, the state-space theory of the linear and the nonlinear systems we talked about does not distinguish between, we talk about temperature, pressure, flow, or in biological systems differently, social systems differently. We talk in certain sort of abstract states. There are different states, and there's a dynamic of that states and dynamic systems. And if you understand the behavior of these systems, we can apply to many, many systems. Today, perhaps, the hard engineers and hard scientists would not understand that language. So when we look at the language of Ayurveda, which we do not understand, it is because we have not made an attempt to understand that, and vice versa. Vice versa, the people of Ayurveda do not understand the language of modern science. And that is what we have to build. If we say the science initiatives, when we take over science initiatives in Ayurveda, one of the first things to be done is to bridge this gap, to understand each other's language. For example, when I read Ayurveda, people talk about 3 doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, or Sapta Dhatus, or Malas. The modern doctors are lost what you're talking about. But we must understand there is a whole coherent theory in arriving at this whole purpose. When we talk about, it all begins from, we are talking about Sat Chit Ananda. What is that? That the nature of reality itself. How it manifests, the concept of Maya or Kutastha Chaitanya, from there comes this Antakaran Chatusthaya. Then we talk about these Panchamahabhutas, Panchatan Matras, and from there emerging whole thing, but these three doshas and other things, the whole theory has to be understood. What does it mean? I was at loss for quite some time to understand what does this Pancha Mahabhutas mean in modern physics. And there have been many seminars. There have been many talks on that kind of thing. People have recently written books. But there is no exact analogy. The closest I came to, Professor Velayathan, was that, closest I came to that, are these the states of matter? When we say about Prithvi, does it mean we are talking the solid state of matter? When we say Aap, does it mean the liquid state? When we say Tej, does it mean the plasma state? When we say Vayu, does it mean the gaseous state? And Akash as the space itself. Does it mean that? But it doesn't. It is not only merely that. There are psychological dimensions, there are spiritual dimensions, there is a biological dimension, psychological dimension to this. And this is a major area of research to understand this language. When I'm working in computing, went over artificial intelligence, and now the new frontiers of mind and consciousness, which of course computers, people understand whether the computers themselves are conscious or not. Are they intelligent or not? The whole subject of artificial intelligence or intelligent systems. And then again, the whole thing comes, what is the mind? And we talked about Antakaran Chatusthaya. In Ayurveda, these concepts come, Antakaran Chatusthaya, for the Manas Ayurveda. What is that? Manas, Buddhi, Chitta and Ahankar. We have to again understand that. And so advanced is this aspect of in Ayurveda, or in our, I think in our philosophy, is that if you have to understand really the nature of mind and consciousness, we'll have to go back to, I think, our ancient Shastras. So this is a major challenge. Again, when you talk about three gunas, Sattva, Raja, and Tama, what does it mean? What does that mean? And there's so much has been said about it, that you have to go on to shade your tamasic, go to rajasic, and go to the sattvic nature. What does that mean in terms of that? There is a whole concept of papa and punya. Now, one important industry is that kind of thing, that in Ayurveda or Indian Shastras, all these concepts are to be considered in an integrated manner. It's not like I just focus on a physics aspect of one particular thing in a particular domain. The physics is different or chemistry is, though they are consistent sciences, physics, chemistry, biology or psychology or these kind of things. It has to be considered in an integrated manner. When I want to explain all this, I must explain all aspects of it. This is the beauty of Ayurveda. And when Dr. Mashelkar used to talk about it, we must talk about the Ayurbiology, or I think Dr. Velayathan has coined that term, or Ayurveda chemistry, or Ayurveda physics, or we are talking of totally different, I think, the frontiers of understanding. This is a major issue. Now, we looked at it, we started looking at how I got connected to it, is that while studying this field of artificial intelligence, and I said that going into the frontiers of mind and consciousness, which we must address as we evolve new computer systems, which will be biological computers or molecular biological computers. And I want to understand that from computing perspective, whether mind is computable or not. From Penrose perspective, he said people believe mind is computable, mind is not computable. And that's a big debate. This led me to understand to this our Shastras, and I started studying that. But while doing so, as an engineer, I looked at kind of thing, can I understand? Can I measure it as I understand? Because I'm also from instrumentation control. It is here, I think 2 years back, I think I was having a dialogue with Professor Snehanand from IIT Delhi. She is here very much. And we said that we are both working in instrumentation. We are together in IIT Delhi. We're studying together. I said, why not we come together and really try to understand through instrumentation, can we instrument these parameters, but what Ayurveda is talking about? And then came that, okay, this is a very vast field, and we must organize a new initiative. When we say science initiative, we must organize a new initiative called scientific revalidation. I will not say scientific, it's already validated. Scientific revalidation and technical re-evaluation is certain thing, because the technical evaluation had not been there, but technical evaluation of ancient medical systems. The National Conference on SV team, Scientific Validation and Technical Evaluation of Medical System. And we did not know whether the traditional or Ayurveda people will respond to it. They will say, who are you to validate? Who are you to prove? This is already proven. We had great doubt that we are the orthodox Ayurveda people, and I know many of them would not respond to this. Also, we had great doubt where our scientists and engineers from IITs and from Institutes of Science, or medical doctors or medical scientists from IIMS or DRDO labs, would they respond to this initiative? But to our surprise, when we announced this conference, national conference, to our surprise, papers started pouring in, and we did not know how to accommodate many papers. We wanted a 2-day workshop like this, a 2-day workshop, whole-day workshop like this, and we started receiving papers, not only from Ayurveda people, not only from people from yoga, not only people from the spiritual organizations, but people from who are regarded from the institutes like IITs and IIT Delhi, IIT Bombay, maybe other IITs, Institutes of Science, DRDO labs. We were amazed, including the chief of DRDO, many. We were amazed to the response which was, and then we requested Dr. Mashelkar, again, can you inaugurate this? We go to the vice president, he was very interested, our president is very interested, and we were really surprised by this initiative. So now I think the time has come that scientists want to, today also the Professor Velayathan coming from, he's a great medical scientist, he has invented a heart valve, is coming to writing a book on legacy of Charaka or legacy of Sushruta. This is a very important trend that people are trying from science and hardcore science and technology and engineering, looking at this ancient medical system, particularly the Ayurveda and Yoga and Ayurveda. This is a very important thing. Now the question came that are there instrumentation? Is there a new instrumentation has to be all? Or we use existing instrumentation, of course, existing instrumentation exists, particularly the biomedical instrumentation exists. Medical technology is, I think, rests on this electronics and biomedical instrumentation. But is there a need for looking at totally new instrumentation? That was a problem which was posed by Dr. Snehanand. He was doing, and our PhD students and postdoctoral students were looking at it. That we looked at the Kirlian photography, we looked at the GTV, we looked at the bioimpedance measurements, we looked at a lot of work which is being done in Russia, polycontrast interferometer photography, I think which has been invented in UK, and we wanted to see that whether these themselves are valid or not. At the same time, there were a lot of research were doing on imaging techniques. The imaging techniques have been there for quite some time. But the modern imaging techniques, what happens when the yogi people, they go, or the Tibetan lamas and all this go into the deep meditative samadhi state, what really happens? And then Time and Newsweek 10 years back came out that earlier I declared that the God is dead, as Nietzsche said, God is dead. There's no God, there's no need for God. And the same magazine on the cover page came out, no, the God is wired in your brain. Because as soon as it goes to meditative state, I think the Agya Chakra, or you start firing. And you can discover it, you can find it from imaging techniques. There's a new discipline started emerging at neurotheology. That kind of thing, you go to them, go to prayers, and go to these kind of things, and what happens in your brain. So this was a very important trend which came forward. Now we feel that there is a new need now to create new instrumentations of signatures of looking at it. They are not parametric measurement as we understand in physics or in standard instrumentation. There can be different kind of techniques which are required to be all, and they are and new. I think the PEEP is one example of that, and we're talking about the aura measurements and all this kind of. They themselves have to validate. I agree, but new instrumentation exists. So I think there is a great need for engineers, technologists, scientists coming there. Look at the nature of reality itself. As a fundamental issue, look at the nature of reality as I understand. Does physics understand the full reality? Nature of reality. Can I explain my emotions? Can I explain my feelings? No. Whereas our Shastras want to explain entire thing, the physical, we talk about Adi Bhautik, Adi Daivik, Adhyatmik in one way, in one shot, not separately like that kind of thing. The psychologists will not understand the language of even in modern science. So this is a need. And I feel that in the 21st century, this is what is going to happen. This is what is going to combine. And new researches, new ideas, or new thinking totally on the nature of reality has to come. Professor Ashok Vedya talked about this Pindite Brahmandi. The Brahmandi itself this is also experience in computing. That unless the whole thing, what you are trying to perceive is within the computer software, you cannot do anything with that computer for that. You can understand even a simple recognition of a word, later like, unless the image of is in computer, I cannot recognize in OCR. And that was fascinated me, that whole thing, the model of the universe, is unless it's within that thing, it cannot do anything, either in computers or and you are now gone to the cellular level, the cell level. I think there's a very fascinating field before us. I do not believe like Stephen Hawking that we have come to an end and we have the science is at the end. No, it is a better beginning now. It is at the beginning of trying to understand the reality. And this Ayurveda Congress, and I think like Professor Velayathan, like great people like coming to understanding this field is a great knowledge. But also the Ayurveda people must explain to us the whole theory in a very consistent and coherent way. We have no doubt that it is science or not. Now let us come together and let us understand the true nature of reality. And also, who am I when I talk about my well-being? I'm talking about my physical body, I'm talking about my pranamaya sharir, I'm talking about my annamaya or pranamaya or vinomaya or vijnanamaya or anandamaya. What I'm talking about well-being, I must understand that as well. So I feel we are coming at the realm of kind of understanding the new nature of ourselves. We want to understand ourselves, our well-being, and also understand the nature of cosmos from the whole theory derived, how it came about and how it's going about. There's a fascinating field, and I think this World Ayurveda Congress and this initiatives today mark the beginnings of, beginnings of deeper studies of understanding ourselves, our health, our well-being, and the nature of ourselves, our society. And then, when we see the oneness of that, we'll understand what we are, and we will be peace at ourselves. Thank you very much, and thank you indeed.